How many of you believe, and be honest, because this is what I believed, that if you could just get your business to a certain point, maybe it's income, maybe it's some more employees, maybe it's a particular level of influence in whatever it is that you do, that you'll have more freedom, more time, and flexibility? I'm always the bearer of bad news. It's not how it works. But I believe the same thing. And so what I'd like to do, if you are all okay with it, is I'd like to share with you what I've learned over the last 10 years, not only as an entrepreneur, being in the same seat that you're in, but also having coached hundreds of other entrepreneurs to establish that freedom, that flexibility, and that time now, and while doing that, have even more success in their business and enjoying the journey. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, great. So 10 years ago, I was in a seat, just like you were in. I had discovered that there was something I really loved to do. I was working for another company. I had a job. And I became fascinated with search engines. Call it geeky, call it nerdy, but that's what I am. So I became fascinated with search engines. I love patterns. I love problems. I love puzzles. And I thought I understood how search engines worked. And this was, almost a decade ago. So it was really before there was a lot of search engine optimization. So I had a friend who was a web developer, and I said, listen, I've got this idea, I've got this architecture, this methodology, why don't we build a website together and maybe we can create a business out of this. He said, great. So while I'm working my day job, he and I are at my house in the evenings and on the weekends, and we're building our first website. And our first website was a mortgage lead generation website. So we wanted to rank at the top of search engines for mortgage terms. So we worked for about 3 months, and we sacrificed a lot in our life. My friends wondered where I was, my family wondered what happened to me, because we were working about 16 to 18 hours a day. But I figured, if I could start my own business, and if I could generate enough income to be happy and do what I love doing, that would be a great thing, right? So we launched our first website, 90 days, and started generating a little bit of income, and it was exciting for us. And so we said, we need to launch a second website, and we were a little bit more efficient. So now we were on like a 4.5-month sprint where we were working 16, sometimes 18 hours a day, working on the weekends. We launched a second website. It started to generate more income. And I thought, now we're making a move, right? I'm going to get to the point where I can generate enough income. I can leave my full-time job. I'm going to get all that time back. I'm going to be making some money. I'm going to be doing what I love. So we launched a third website, and we had just enough income that one of us could quit our jobs. The problem was I was responsible for architecting the websites, and he was responsible for developing the websites, and all the websites needed a lot of content. So now we found we needed a lot more content development. So we took that money and we hired a writer. So the writer's in my living room with the developer and with me, in the evenings, on the weekends, and we're developing, we're architecting, we're writing. We've got 5 websites, 6 websites. We're starting to generate some income. And we finally got to the point that he and I could both quit our jobs. And I thought, now is it, right? Now I'm going to get about 8 hours back of my time every day. I can reconnect with my friends. I can reconnect with my family. Because I was really missing the magic moments of my life. But I was doing it because I was making a sacrifice to do what I wanted to do, to create my own business, to generate some income and do what I love. So we've got these 5, 6 websites going. We're generating some income. We both quit our jobs and all the websites go down. Because we had been using a really cheap hosting provider. But now we've got 5, 6 websites. They're all driving traffic. So now I got to learn IT. So that 8 hours that I just gained back by quitting my job, I'm becoming an IT specialist. I'm understanding hardware. I'm understanding software. I'm working with a hosting company. Finally, we figure it out. We get all the websites back up and running. But now the vendors who we're selling leads to need more attention. Because we're selling mortgage leads. We're selling insurance leads. We're selling debt consolidation leads. So what ended up happening was I was working even more than when I was working my full-time job, trying to manage all of our IT and try to manage all of our vendors. So at the next point, we hired a business development guy. He came on. I thought, this is great. I'm going to have all this time now. I don't have to manage the vendors anymore. So he's sitting in my living room next to the developer, next to the content writer. We've got an office set up in my house. And now all of a sudden I'm managing people. So all that time I thought I was going to gain by hiring this business development guy, I'm now managing 3 people in my company. And I said, you know what? If I can just raise some money for my business, I'm going to get my life back. So I decided I'm going to go out and raise money. So what I do in the few hours that I'm not sleeping now is I start researching how to raise money. So I research how to raise money, how to write a business plan. I start working on a business plan. I start calling all these venture capital companies. All I really want to do is have my own business, make a little bit of money, and do what I enjoy doing. And now I want to get these people the hell out of my house. So I go out. Now I'm flying to New York. I'm flying to San Francisco. I'm spending the money, what little money I'm making less money than when I had a job. I'm working 2 to 3 times as much. And I found a company that wanted to invest in our little business. So we ended up doing what at one point was just a dream of mine. We raised $1 million in a first round of investment for this little company that was building these search engine optimized websites. And I thought, now's my chance. I got $1 million in the bank. I can get these people out of my house. I can hire a team. I can have my time back. I can get back to connecting with my friends, with my family. Maybe I'll even take a vacation because it's been 12 months now. So we move into an office. Our commitment was to hire 15 people. There's a lot that goes on with hiring 15 people and starting an office. So now I'm hiring people. I'm writing HR manuals. I'm doing all this stuff that I don't want to do just so I can have my little business, make a little bit of money, and have some fun. So the story goes on. But the story behind the story is that I got to a point where I was working maybe 12, 14, 16 hours a day in the office. I'd come home, I'd do a few hours of work. And it started one night when I just opened my refrigerator and I grabbed a beer. So I had a beer to relax a little bit. And then it was 2 beers. And then it was 3 beers. And then I picked up this habit of cigarette smoking. And I was at a friend's house one night feeling really stressed out. He said, "Why don't you have a joint?" So I had a joint. And I felt relaxed. It actually reminded me of the time when I just had a job. And it makes for a fun weekend, but it doesn't make for a healthy lifestyle, right? Because it got to a point where one weekend, it was a Thursday, I went home after being stressed out all week. I had a board presentation due the next week. I needed to fly to 3 cities in about 5 days to meet with vendors. And I went home on a Thursday night. I opened up my refrigerator. I grabbed a beer. I had a beer, started to relax a little bit, and within a half hour, I had drank a 6-pack. And then I grabbed